Do you ever wonder if you're truly living your best life? Many people believe that achieving a great life means doing more work, more responsibilities, more commitments. We are often taught that success comes from pushing ourselves harder, from constantly striving to achieve more. But what if the secret to living your best life is not doing more, but doing less? What if the answer lies in eliminating the toxic habits that silently drain your energy and peace, leaving you feeling overwhelmed and unfulfilled? In today's video, we're going to explore 11 subtle yet incredibly powerful habits that, once removed, can bring profound changes to your life. These aren't just fleeting fixes or temporary solutions. These are life-altering shifts that, when made consistently, can create lasting peace and purpose. By simply letting go of certain habits, you open yourself up to a calmer, more intentional existence, one that is filled with joy and fulfillment. It's easy to get caught up in the whirlwind of modern life, chasing after more, thinking it's the path to happiness. However, real transformation comes from simplifying, from shedding the unnecessary burdens that hold us back. As we dive into these 11 habits, you'll begin to see how releasing them can create space for clarity, emotional balance, and a deeper connection to your true self. So, take a deep breath and let's explore how eliminating these subtle yet powerful habits can guide you to a more peaceful, balanced, and fulfilling life. Trust me, the journey to your best life might just be about letting go of what no longer serves you. Lesson 1. Stop explaining yourself to those who hurt you. In the hustle and bustle of modern life, we often find ourselves entangled in the expectations and opinions of others. One of the most common struggles we face is the desire for understanding, closure, or validation from those who have hurt us. When someone causes us pain, we instinctively try to explain ourselves, hoping that they will understand our feelings, apologize for their actions, or at least acknowledge the hurt they have caused. However, there is a powerful lesson hidden in silence, one that shields your peace and helps you reclaim your power. The need for validation from others can easily become a cycle of suffering. You may explain your feelings, hoping for empathy, only to be met with misunderstanding or dismissal. You may plead for an apology, but instead, you face indifference or even blame. The more you try to make someone else see your perspective, the deeper your wounds may become. The simple truth is that seeking validation from those who have caused you pain often leaves you feeling more isolated and hurt than before. Buddha once said, "You will not be punished for your anger, you will be punished by your anger." This statement holds profound wisdom. When we direct our energy toward those who have wronged us, seeking recognition, closure, or justification, we are in fact punishing ourselves. The anger, frustration, and hurt we feel become a self-inflicted burden that saps our emotional well-being. The punishment isn't external, it's internal. It resides within us, in the way our unresolved feelings continue to weigh us down and prevent us from healing. Imagine for a moment that you are carrying a heavy backpack filled with stones. Every time you try to explain yourself to someone who refuses to listen or understand, you add another stone to the pack. You might add more weight each time you engage in a fruitless conversation, trying desperately to be heard by someone who is unwilling or incapable of hearing you. Days turn into weeks, and before you know it, you are weighed down by a seemingly endless burden of unresolved emotions. The backpack becomes so heavy that it affects every aspect of your life, making it difficult to move forward, to heal, or to find peace. But what if there was a different way? What if the solution wasn't to continue carrying the backpack, but to simply set it down? What if you could stop seeking validation from those who cannot provide it? What if you could begin to free yourself from the emotional weight that comes from chasing someone else's acknowledgement? In modern life, setting down that heavy backpack often means recognizing when a conversation has stopped being about resolution and started being about power. There are some people who thrive on misunderstanding you, not because they want to hurt you, but because it keeps them in control. They might refuse to acknowledge your feelings or twist your words to suit their narrative. They may even play the victim, making you feel like the one who is wrong. But the truth is, their misunderstanding has nothing to do with your worth or your truth. It is a reflection of their inability or unwillingness to listen and empathize. And most importantly, it is not your responsibility to change their mind. Your healing is not dependent on someone else's acknowledgement or apology. It is yours to claim. The moment you stop seeking external validation is the moment you begin to cultivate inner peace. It is a practice of recognizing that your peace, your worth, and your emotional well-being are not reliant on the approval of others. You are not defined by their understanding of you. You are defined by how you see yourself and how you choose to respond to life's challenges. Instead of pouring your energy into conversations that won't bring you peace, why not redirect that energy inward? Reflect on your experiences, process your emotions, and meditate on the lessons they have taught you. Journaling can be an incredibly powerful tool in this process. Pour your thoughts onto paper, giving yourself the space to express your feelings without the need for an audience. Writing allows you to organize your thoughts, release pent-up emotions, and find clarity in moments of confusion. It is a personal practice of self-care that helps you work through the pain and come out stronger on the other side. At the same time, it is important to release the need to be heard by those who are unable or unwilling to listen. This does not mean suppressing your voice or hiding your truth. It means choosing where to use your voice wisely. Speak to those who value your truth, those who listen with empathy and respect. But most importantly, speak to yourself with compassion. Remind yourself of your worth, of your ability to heal, and of your right to live a peaceful, fulfilling life. There is liberation in this practice, for it allows you to stop chasing validation from others and start nurturing your own sense of self-worth. When you stop explaining yourself, you reclaim your power. You no longer give away your peace by engaging in fruitless conversations or seeking closure from those who are incapable of providing it. You free yourself from the chains of anger, frustration, and resentment. By letting go of the need to explain, you create space for inner calm and emotional clarity. You choose to focus on your own healing rather than continuing to relive the pain of the past. So here's the challenge. The next time you feel the urge to explain yourself to someone who has hurt you, pause for a moment. Ask yourself, what am I hoping to achieve in this conversation? Is it worth sacrificing my peace? If the answer is no, then it's time to walk away, not in anger, but in wisdom. You don't need to fight for someone else's understanding. You don't need to defend yourself to someone who isn't listening. Your peace is worth more than any explanation you could offer. Choose instead to protect your peace. Walk away with dignity, knowing that your healing comes from within, not from someone else's acknowledgement. You are not defined by how others perceive you, but by how you choose to perceive yourself. The path to a peaceful life is not paved with endless explanations. It is paved with understanding, your own understanding of your worth, your emotions, and your need for inner peace. This practice of silence is not about suppressing your emotions or pretending that everything is okay. It is about choosing where to invest your energy, where to place your focus, and how to protect your peace. By letting go of the need to explain, you free yourself from the shackles of anger, resentment, and frustration. You open the door to healing, growth, and a deeper connection to your true self. And in doing so, you reclaim your power, your ability to heal, to move forward, and to live a life filled with peace, clarity, and purpose. Lesson 2. Avoid oversharing about relationship endings. When a relationship ends, it often leaves behind an emotional void, an emptiness that yearns to be filled. The pain, confusion, and countless unanswered questions seem to demand attention. We find ourselves desperate to talk about it, to pour out our hearts to others, hoping that in doing so, we might find some kind of solace or relief. In the rawness of our vulnerability, we seek comfort. But what many don't realize is that this very vulnerability can become a trap, one that keeps us tethered to the past and prolongs our suffering. There is an inherent danger in oversharing. While the need to be heard is natural, when we share too much, we risk amplifying our negativity and holding on to pain that we are ultimately trying to move beyond. The wise teachings of Buddha offer valuable guidance in this area. He said, "Speak only endearing speech, speech that is welcomed and brings no evil to others." These words remind us that our speech carries power, not only to affect others, but also to shape our own emotional world. When we dwell on the hurt of the past and spread it through our words, we inadvertently perpetuate suffering, not just for ourselves, but also for those who listen. Every time we speak about our pain, we reinforce it. We keep it alive, preventing ourselves from healing. Every detail shared becomes a thread, tying us back to what we are trying to let go of. It's as though we are repeatedly rewinding a movie that's already over, unwilling to allow it to fade into the past where it belongs. In doing so, we remain stuck, circling around the same hurt instead of moving forward into a brighter, more peaceful future. To truly understand the impact of oversharing, let's consider an analogy. Imagine you're carrying a lantern through the dark. This lantern represents your emotional focus, your attention. Now, picture that instead of using the lantern to illuminate the path ahead, you keep turning it backward, shining it into the shadows of a relationship long gone. Each time you glance back, you lose sight of the way forward. You miss the opportunity to see where you're headed, to find new opportunities, new experiences, and new connections. In much the same way, when we overshare about past relationships, we are shining our emotional light in the wrong direction. We are fixating on what no longer serves us, rather than focusing on what lies ahead. This fixation on the past doesn't just prevent us from moving forward, it also binds us to the negative emotions that we are trying to leave behind. In today's world, the temptation to overshare is even greater, especially with the widespread use of social media. Platforms like Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter offer us an immediate outlet for expressing our feelings, venting our frustrations, and validating our emotions. The idea of sharing our pain with the world can seem comforting, as if by doing so, we'll find some kind of release. But what most people fail to realize is that while social media may provide a temporary sense of relief, it's just that, temporary. It's a fleeting comfort that doesn't lead to true healing. In fact, the more we share, the more we risk losing our dignity. We open ourselves up to judgment, unsolicited advice, and sometimes even ridicule. Others may not have our best interests at heart. They may not truly understand the depth of our pain, and their responses, whether positive or negative, are often based on limited understanding or personal biases. Venting online can also invite the kind of attention that drags us back into the past, making it harder to let go and move on. So what is the alternative? How can we navigate the pain of a relationship's end without falling into the trap of oversharing? The key lies in practicing discretion and focusing on personal growth rather than public declarations. Discretion is not about suppressing your emotions or pretending that you're fine when you're not. It's about making conscious choices about where you place your energy and how you express your emotions. It's about creating a safe space for yourself to heal without broadcasting your pain to the world. One of the most powerful ways to process your emotions without oversharing is through journaling. Writing down your thoughts and feelings allows you to express yourself honestly and authentically without the fear of judgment. Journaling can be an incredibly cathartic practice, as it gives you the space to explore your emotions in a private, non-judgmental environment. You can write freely, without the constraints of worrying about how others might perceive you. In this safe space, you can fully express your hurt, confusion, and anger, but also begin to reflect on the lessons you have learned. You have the opportunity to work through your pain, to make sense of your feelings, and to gradually release the emotional hold that the relationship may still have on you. Another powerful outlet for healing is speaking to a trusted friend, therapist, or spiritual guide. Sometimes, sharing your pain with someone who is neutral, compassionate, and non-judgmental can help you process your emotions more effectively. These individuals are there to help you work through your feelings, not to prolong your suffering. They can offer guidance, perspective, and support, helping you to navigate the complexities of your emotions without dragging you deeper into the negativity of the past. A skilled therapist or a wise spiritual guide can help you reframe your experiences, offering insights that allow you to grow and heal in a healthy way. But even in these conversations, it's important to be mindful of how much you share and whether it is truly helping you heal or simply keeping you stuck in the past. This practice of discretion is not about suppressing your voice or hiding your truth. It's about choosing where to place your energy and who to entrust with your heart. When you overshare, you scatter pieces of yourself. You give away bits of your soul to people and platforms that don't deserve it, making it harder to reclaim your wholeness. But when you hold your experiences close, when you protect your energy and share it with those who will nurture your healing, you create the space necessary for personal growth and transformation. After a relationship ends, we are often left asking why it happened, what went wrong, and what lesson we should have learned. These are important questions, but they should not be asked in a way that ties you to the past. Instead of focusing solely on the pain, ask yourself, what can I learn from this experience? How can this chapter guide me toward a better version of myself? These are the questions that lead to growth. These are the questions that allow you to move forward with wisdom and strength. Relationships, no matter how painful, are never without purpose. They teach us about ourselves, about others, and about the world around us. They show us what we need to learn in order to become more whole, more compassionate, and more aligned with our true selves. So as you navigate the end of a relationship, remember to protect your energy. Avoid turning every wound into a story for the world to hear. Instead, take the time to reflect inwardly, to process your emotions in a way that is constructive and healing. Speak to those who can help you grow and hold your experiences close until you are ready to let them go. Your journey is yours alone, and how you choose to walk it is a reflection of the respect you have for yourself. When you choose discretion, you honor your path, and you allow yourself to move forward with grace and dignity. In the end, peace isn't found in sharing every painful detail with others. It's found in the quiet strength of knowing when to let go, when to release the past, and when to trust that healing will come in its own time. The true power lies in your ability to protect your energy, to honor your emotional needs, and to trust that by holding your experiences close, you will eventually find the space and clarity needed to heal. Peace comes not from oversharing, but from the strength of knowing when to let the past be the past and when to step forward into the future with a renewed sense of self. Lesson 3. Let go of unnecessary goals. We live in a world that is deeply obsessed with achievement, a world where every moment feels like a race against time. From the moment we wake up until we fall asleep, we are bombarded with an endless stream of goals, tasks, and expectations. Goals pile up like an unending to-do list for life, and the pressure to accomplish them all weighs heavy on the soul. It seems as though success, fulfillment, and self-worth are all measured by how much we can achieve. But here's a truth that many often overlook. Not all goals are worth chasing. Some goals are like quicksand, pulling you deeper into exhaustion, anxiety, and distraction, taking you farther away from what truly matters in life. Buddha's wisdom speaks to this in a profound way. The trouble is, you think you have time. This simple yet powerful statement encapsulates one of the greatest misunderstandings of modern life. We often live as though we have endless time to achieve everything we want to do, to please everyone around us, and to meet all the expectations that come our way. But time is not infinite. The days slip by, one after another, and before we know it, we find ourselves looking back, wondering where all the years went. In our pursuit of achievement, we often get caught in the trap of doing things because they seem urgent, because society tells us they are important, or because we think they will bring us happiness. But many of these pursuits are mere distractions from our deeper purpose, and the more we chase them, the more we stray from the path of true fulfillment. Think for a moment about the nature of goals. We are often taught that we should pursue as many goals as possible, that we should strive to succeed in every area of our lives, and that busyness equals productivity. But the truth is that not all goals are created equal. Some goals may appear shiny and attractive, but when we chase them, we find they lead to exhaustion rather than fulfillment. It's like a never-ending race where we constantly feel behind, trying to achieve more without ever stopping to ask if what we're pursuing is even aligned with our true desires and values. Let's consider an analogy that might help put this into perspective. Imagine you're standing before a tree, trying to pick its fruit. If you scatter your effort across every branch of the tree, reaching for every fruit you see, you'll tire yourself out before you have a chance to taste anything sweet. But if you focus your energy on the ripest, most nourishing fruit, the one that truly satisfies your soul, you'll find that the reward is far greater. Life works in much the same way. We often find ourselves pulled in multiple directions by goals that seem urgent or necessary. We try to pursue every opportunity that comes our way, but in doing so, we often dilute our focus and energy. In the end, we may find that we've gained little except for fatigue and frustration. The key then is not to pursue every goal that seems achievable or urgent, but to ask ourselves a crucial question. Does this goal align with my core values? Will it contribute to my personal growth and fulfillment, or is it simply a distraction from what truly matters? If the answer is no, then it's time to let it go. Letting go of unnecessary goals can be liberating. It allows us to stop chasing after things that don't add value to our lives and start focusing on what truly nourishes our spirit. Clinging to every ambition simply because it seems achievable or expected dilutes your power. We live in a society that teaches us to equate busyness with success. We are constantly told that the more we do, the more successful we are. We fill our days with a myriad of tasks, checking them off one by one, thinking that this is the way to lead a meaningful life. But the truth is, true achievement doesn't lie in the number of things we accomplish or the amount of work we do. It lies in clarity. True achievement is about knowing what truly matters, focusing on what aligns with your values, and creating space for growth, connection, and peace. One of the most powerful exercises you can do is to take the time to list your goals. Once you have them on paper, examine them closely. Which of these goals resonate with your purpose? Which ones spark joy and challenge you to evolve? These are the goals worth pursuing. They are the ones that elevate your spirit and contribute to your growth as a person. The rest, the goals that don't align with your true desires or values, can be let go. When you release unnecessary goals, you free yourself from the burden of trying to do it all. You reclaim your time and energy, and you create space for deeper connections and more meaningful achievements. The lesson here can also be found in the quiet wisdom of nature. A tree does not stretch its branches in every direction. It grows toward the light, seeking nourishment where it matters most. It doesn't waste energy trying to reach every corner of the earth or compete with other trees. Instead, it focuses on growing toward the sun, absorbing the nutrients it needs to thrive. This natural principle can serve as a guide for how we approach our own goals. Rather than spreading ourselves thin, trying to pursue every opportunity, we can learn to grow in a focused, purposeful direction. We can choose goals that nourish us, that bring us closer to our true self, and that elevate our lives in meaningful ways. By choosing goals that align with your essence, you allow yourself to flourish in a way that is both fulfilling and sustainable. You stop chasing external markers of success and instead focus on internal growth and contentment. This approach to life isn't about rejecting ambition or striving for success. It's about being intentional in how you direct your energy and effort. It's about having the clarity to choose goals that bring you closer to your highest potential, rather than filling your life with distractions that only serve to drain your energy and prevent you from truly thriving. When we let go of unnecessary goals and distractions, we make room for the things that truly matter. We can nurture relationships that bring us joy and fulfillment, engage in activities that challenge and inspire us, and invest time in the personal growth that will lead us to a more meaningful life. The act of letting go is not about giving up. It's about making a conscious choice to prioritize what is most important. By focusing on the goals that resonate with our values and purpose, we create the space for deeper connections, greater peace, and a life that feels truly aligned with who we are. In a world that constantly pressures us to do more, be more, and achieve more, it can be easy to forget that life is not about doing everything. It's about doing what matters. The most important achievement in life is not the number of goals we reach or the tasks we complete. It's the sense of fulfillment we feel when we are living authentically, when we are aligned with our values, and when we are pursuing the things that nourish our soul. So, the next time you find yourself overwhelmed by a long list of goals or distracted by the demands of modern life, take a moment to pause and reflect. Ask yourself, does this goal align with my core values? Does it contribute to my growth and fulfillment? Will it nourish my spirit? If the answer is no, let it go. Focus on the goals that truly matter, those that align with your essence and help you grow into the person you are meant to be. In doing so, you will find not only clarity, but peace, because life is not about doing everything, it's about doing what matters most. Lesson 4. Refrain from raising your voice in anger. Anger is a fire, a blazing, uncontrollable force that can consume everything in its path. In its moment, anger promises a sense of power and control, a fleeting sense of justice, as if by raising your voice or acting out, you are righting a wrong. It feels as though it is the answer, the resolution to the frustration or hurt you feel. But the damage anger leaves behind is often irreparable. It burns bridges, damages relationships, and tarnishes your own peace. What's even more striking is the paradox that anger harms the person who holds it far more than the person it is directed toward. The Buddha's wisdom captures this beautifully. Holding on to anger is like grasping a hot coal with the intent of throwing it at someone else. You get burned in the heat of anger. This simple but powerful analogy reminds us that while anger may feel justified in the moment, it only causes harm to the person who carries it. When you allow anger to consume you, it does not simply exist as an isolated feeling. It spreads throughout your entire being. It affects your thoughts, your actions, your relationships, and even your health. In the short term, it may feel like a release, an outlet for the pent-up emotions you have been carrying. Raising your voice might feel cathartic, a way to assert yourself and restore balance. But what you may fail to realize is that instead of resolving the situation, your anger only amplifies the chaos within. The momentary sense of relief is fleeting, but the consequences of your actions, harsh words, hurt feelings, and broken trust can last a lifetime. What you hope to resolve through your outburst only grows into further conflict, resentment, and disharmony. Consider the image of a calm, still lake. Everything is peaceful, undisturbed. Then, someone throws a stone into the water. At first, the stone creates a small splash, but soon ripples begin to spread outward, disturbing the once serene surface. Those ripples continue to expand, touching every part of the lake, until the entire surface reflects the disturbance. This is exactly what happens when you raise your voice in anger. Your words, sharp, hasty, and filled with emotion, create ripples that spread throughout your relationships, unsettling the harmony you've worked so hard to build. Even the smallest outburst can have far-reaching consequences, affecting not only the person you're angry with, but also others who are witnesses to the exchange. The ripples of anger spread outward, distorting the peace you have cultivated, leaving behind a trail of unresolved tension and hurt. But here's the truth. You don't have to react. You don't have to throw that stone into the lake. You don't have to allow the fire of anger to dictate your actions or shape your reality. Practicing mindfulness in moments of frustration is akin to stepping back from the fire rather than fueling it. It is the conscious decision to pause, to breathe, and to observe your emotions without allowing them to control you. Instead of immediately reacting to a perceived injustice or hurt, you can choose to reflect before responding. This practice is not easy, especially in modern life, where pressures and misunderstandings often test our patience. We live in a world where frustrations arise daily, whether it's a heated conversation with a colleague, a disagreement with a loved one, or even a stranger's rudeness on the street. It seems that life constantly offers us opportunities to react with anger. But the choice to remain calm, the choice to control our reactions, is a gift we give not only to ourselves, but to those around us as well. The next time you feel the heat of anger rising, pause for a moment. Take a breath, or several. Feel the anger in your body. Acknowledge it, but don't let it control you. Let it sit with you for a moment, and then choose how to respond. The simple act of pausing can create enough distance between your emotional response and your actions, allowing reason and clarity to guide your words. In these moments, your awareness becomes your greatest tool. It gives you the power to choose whether you will react impulsively or whether you will take a step back and respond with mindfulness and intention. One simple yet effective method for calming yourself in moments of anger is to count to 10 before responding. This may seem trivial, but it works by creating a momentary buffer between the surge of emotion and the action that follows. Counting allows your mind to catch up with your emotions, giving you the space to make a thoughtful choice rather than react impulsively. This simple practice can help prevent angry outbursts and prevent further escalation of a situation. Another powerful tool is meditation, which helps train the mind to observe emotions without being consumed by them. Meditation cultivates mindfulness, allowing you to detach from the storm of anger and observe it with awareness. Through consistent practice, meditation teaches you to sit with difficult emotions without allowing them to overwhelm you. This enables you to respond to anger with clarity, rather than reacting from a place of frustration or hurt. When you learn to observe your anger without identifying with it, you free yourself from the cycle of emotional reactivity, and you gain the ability to respond calmly and constructively. Anger, when released calmly and constructively, can actually bring clarity and growth. It can be a tool for self-awareness, allowing you to understand the underlying causes of your frustration and work through them in a healthy way. But when anger is expressed through raised voices and harsh words, it shuts down communication and closes doors to understanding. The moment we allow our anger to dictate our actions, we lose the opportunity for growth, empathy, and connection. Relationships, like delicate threads, can unravel in moments of thoughtlessness. In many cases, the damage done through angry outbursts can take far longer to repair than the fleeting satisfaction of the anger itself. The words you speak in anger can leave scars that take years to heal. And even if forgiveness is granted, the memory of the outburst may linger, creating an emotional distance that is difficult to overcome. So, the next time you feel anger rising within you, remember the hot coal. Picture yourself holding it, with the intent of throwing it at someone else. Recognize that in doing so, you are the one who will get burned. The anger you hold within you is the coal, and the fire it creates is the harm you inflict on yourself. Set the coal down. Speak with patience, or choose to remain silent until the fire within has cooled. Silence in this case is not a weakness. It is a powerful tool for preserving peace. It is the strength to resist the urge to react in a destructive way, and the wisdom to know when to wait for the right moment to speak. Because peace is not found in raising your voice, it is found in raising your awareness. In that awareness lies the power to preserve harmony, to nurture understanding, and to create a space for healing. The true power comes not from acting on impulse, but from responding with wisdom. It's in the quiet strength of knowing when to hold your tongue, when to breathe, and when to step back and reflect. It is in the awareness that you don't need to react, but you can choose to respond thoughtfully, with intention, and with compassion. This power, the power of awareness, is what allows you to preserve your relationships and your inner peace. It is what enables you to move through life without being controlled by your emotions, and it is what empowers you to create the kind of world you want to live in, one that is grounded in understanding, patience, and love. The next time anger arises, choose awareness over reaction, choose peace over conflict, and in doing so, you will nurture not only your own well-being, but also the well-being of those around you. Lesson 5. Stop comparing yourself to others. Comparison is a thief. It operates quietly, subtly creeping into our minds and stealing away the joy, confidence, and sense of self that we work so hard to build. Like a silent shadow, comparison leads us down a path of self-doubt and insecurity, convincing us that someone else's success diminishes our worth. It whispers lies, making us believe that another person's achievements or possessions invalidate our own journey, as if there's only room for one kind of success in the world. But the truth is far simpler and more profound. There is no competition in being yourself. Buddha's teachings remind us that comparison breeds jealousy and insecurity. When we constantly measure our lives against someone else's, we lose sight of our unique path. The time, energy, and emotional resources we invest in envying another's success could be better used to nourish our own growth and development. When we compare ourselves to others, we not only undermine our sense of self, but also ignore the beauty and power of our own individuality. Each person is on their own journey, with their own challenges, triumphs, and lessons. Yet, we often forget this when we get caught in the comparison trap. It's easy to look at someone else's accomplishments and feel inadequate, wondering why we haven't reached the same milestones or attained the same goals. This internal dialogue becomes a cycle of self-criticism, where we chase someone else's vision of success instead of embracing our own. To better understand this concept, let's imagine walking through a garden filled with different kinds of flowers. There are roses that are vibrant and towering, lilies that are soft and delicate, and marigolds that shine brightly with their own unique beauty. Do you criticize the rose for not being a sunflower, or the lily for not matching the brilliance of the marigold? Of course not. You appreciate each flower for what it is, recognizing that the diversity of the garden is what makes it beautiful. Life is much the same. You are your own flower, blooming in your own way, at your own pace, in your own season. No two flowers grow the same, and neither do two lives unfold identically. Each path is unique, and it is this diversity that adds richness and meaning to life. However, in the modern world, the struggle with comparison is often amplified by social media. Platforms like Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter serve as highlight reels of other people's lives, showcasing their successes, vacations, relationships, and accomplishments. It's easy to feel like everyone else is living a more exciting, successful, or perfect life. But remember, what you're seeing on social media is often a curated version of reality. It's a snapshot, carefully chosen to reflect only the most polished, edited moments of a person's life, stripped of the struggles, imperfections, and challenges that everyone faces. When you compare your behind-the-scenes life, your struggles, your setbacks, your quiet moments, to someone else's highlight reel, you are setting yourself up for disappointment and self-judgment. The problem is that social media tends to magnify the feeling of inadequacy. We scroll through the images of others and see only their successes, their travels, their happy moments, and we begin to question ourselves. Why am I not where they are, we ask. Why haven't I accomplished what they've accomplished? But these questions are rooted in a false comparison. The truth is that everyone has their own timing. Success is not a race, and someone else's achievements do not diminish yours in any way. Their journey is theirs, and yours is yours. It's important to remind ourselves of this, especially in a world where everyone's life is so visible and often idealized online. So, instead of comparing yourself to others, try turning inward. Ask yourself, what do I value? What brings me joy? What does success look like to me? How can I grow in ways that align with my own goals, not the goals of someone else? When you stop chasing other people's paths, you free yourself to walk your own with intention and authenticity. The key is to recognize that your journey is just as valuable as anyone else's, and it is not defined by external standards or societal pressures. It's defined by you, your values, your passions, and your purpose. One of the most powerful ways to break free from the grip of comparison is to practice gratitude. Gratitude shifts your focus away from what you don't have to what you already have. When you are caught in the trap of comparison, you're constantly measuring your life against others, and you begin to overlook the beauty and abundance in your own experience. But by practicing gratitude, you can retrain your mind to see the good in your own life. Each day, take a moment to write down 3 things you are thankful for. They could be small or big, anything that brings you a sense of gratitude. Over time, you'll begin to notice how much you already have, how much you've already achieved, and how far you've come. Gratitude also helps you shift your focus from scarcity to abundance. Instead of feeling like there is only a limited amount of success, happiness, or fulfillment to go around, gratitude helps you recognize that there is more than enough for everyone, including you. Your success does not take away from anyone else's. In fact, your growth and joy can inspire others to do the same. By celebrating your own achievements, no matter how small they may seem, you send out a message that growth and fulfillment are possible for everyone. And when you stop comparing yourself to others, you open yourself up to experiencing that success in your own way and on your own terms. Another strategy to combat comparison is to set personal benchmarks for success. Rather than looking to others to define what success should look like, create your own standards based on your values and progress. What does success mean to you? Is it personal growth, financial independence, deepening relationships? Whatever it may be, set goals that reflect what you truly want to achieve. These goals should be based on your unique journey, not the journey of someone else. By focusing on your personal benchmarks, you take the power away from external expectations and redirect it toward your own growth. Comparison thrives in environments where we constantly look to others for validation. But when you stop looking outward for approval and begin to look inward, you take back control of your sense of self-worth. You stop measuring yourself against arbitrary standards and start celebrating your own progress, however small it may be. It's important to understand that you are enough as you are. Your path is valid, even if it doesn't look like anyone else's. Your worth is intrinsic. It does not depend on how much money you make, how many followers you have, or how many awards you receive. Your worth comes from being true to yourself, from pursuing your own dreams, and from living authentically. The beauty of life lies in its diversity. No two paths are identical, and that's what makes each journey meaningful. The variety of experiences, backgrounds, and perspectives is what makes life rich and interesting. So instead of looking at others as competition, redirect that energy toward becoming the best version of yourself. Your journey may look different from someone else's, and that's exactly how it's meant to be. The only competition you need to worry about is the one with yourself. The challenge of growing, learning, and evolving into the person you are meant to be. When you stop comparing, you create space for self-acceptance. You stop judging yourself based on someone else's standards and start embracing your own journey. Your path, no matter how different from others, is enough. It is beautiful, valid, and worthy of celebration. You don't need to measure your worth by how much you've accomplished compared to others. Instead, measure it by how true you've been to yourself, how kind you've been to others, and how much you've grown. Peace is not found in chasing someone else's success. It's found in realizing that your worth is intrinsic and that your path, no matter how different, is enough. In the end, comparison is a thief that robs us of our peace and joy. It distracts us from the beauty of our own lives, making us believe that our journey isn't enough. But the truth is that each of us is on a unique path, and that path is worthy of respect and appreciation. Stop looking to others for validation and start looking inward for your own sense of purpose. When you do, you'll find peace, contentment, and a deep sense of fulfillment in your own journey. Because the only person you should be comparing yourself to is the person you were yesterday. And if you're moving forward, growing and evolving, then you are on the right track. Your journey is your own, and it is enough. Lesson 6. Avoid mindless use of social media. Social media is a paradox, a double-edged sword that promises connection and inspiration, but often leaves us feeling isolated, disconnected, and inadequate. It seems to offer endless opportunities for engagement, countless likes, shares, and comments, all designed to make us feel seen and heard. Yet, despite these promises, it often breeds a sense of loneliness, making us feel more disconnected than ever. It offers inspiration in the form of beautifully curated posts, motivational quotes and success stories. But it also fosters comparison, making us feel like we're not enough, that our lives are somehow less than those we see on our feeds. Hours slip away in an endless cycle of scrolling, mindlessly consuming content that, in the end, adds little to our lives, leaving us feeling drained rather than uplifted. Buddha's wisdom is particularly relevant when it comes to understanding the impact of social media on our minds. The mind is everything. What you think, you become. This profound teaching reminds us that our thoughts shape our reality, and the content we consume directly influences the thoughts we cultivate. When we allow social media to control our attention without purpose, we surrender our mental space to fleeting likes, curated lives, and empty distractions. What we see and engage with on social media has the potential to shape our beliefs, our self-worth, and our overall mindset, often in ways we don't fully recognize. The content we consume, whether positive or negative, influences our thoughts, and our thoughts eventually shape our reality. If we are constantly comparing ourselves to others, if we are constantly measuring our happiness against someone else's highlight reel, we begin to believe that their reality is better than our own. This comparison, often fueled by the curated nature of social media, makes us forget that we are only seeing a small fragment of someone's life. We don't see their struggles, their vulnerabilities, or the behind-the-scenes moments that don't make it to the screen. Yet we begin to feel inadequate, thinking that we are failing because our lives don't look as polished or as perfect as the ones we see online. This disconnection, this feeling of inadequacy, is one of the many ways that social media can distort our perception of reality. Imagine for a moment that you're holding a jar of clear water. Each time you scroll mindlessly through your feed, it's like adding a drop of ink to the jar. At first, the water remains mostly clear. A few drops here and there don't seem to make much of a difference. But as time goes on, the ink accumulates, clouding the water and turning it murky. Eventually, what was once clear and pure becomes difficult to see through. This is how social media impacts the clarity of our minds. The more time we spend scrolling without purpose, the more ink, distractions, comparisons, negativity, and shallow content clouds our focus and clarity. Over time, we lose sight of what truly matters to us, and our sense of self becomes diluted by external influences. The problem, however, isn't social media itself. Social media, like any tool, is neutral. It can be a source of growth and inspiration, or it can become a source of anxiety and distraction. The way we use it determines its effect on our lives. If we use social media with intention, following accounts that align with our values, consuming content that inspires us, and engaging in meaningful conversations, it can be a powerful tool for personal growth, connection, and learning. On the other hand, if we allow it to dictate our attention and consume our time without purpose, it becomes a source of mental clutter and emotional turbulence. When left unchecked, social media can foster unhealthy comparisons, waste time, and pull us away from genuine connections with others. It's easy to become trapped in the cycle of seeking validation through likes, comments, and followers, thinking that external approval is what will bring us happiness. But this external validation is fleeting. It provides momentary satisfaction, but it does not offer lasting fulfillment. The true source of contentment comes from within, from knowing that we are enough without needing others' approval. So, how can we use social media mindfully? The first step is to become aware of how it makes us feel. Ask yourself, how do I feel after spending time on social media? Do I feel inspired, connected, and uplifted? Or do I feel anxious, insecure, and dissatisfied? The answers to these questions can give us valuable insight into how social media is affecting our mental and emotional state. Once we recognize the impact it has on us, we can take steps to use it in a way that supports our well-being rather than detracts from it. 1. Be intentional about what you follow. One of the easiest ways to use social media mindfully is to be intentional about the accounts you follow. Curate your feed so that it aligns with your values and interests. Follow accounts that inspire you, that make you feel good about yourself, that offer value, and that promote positive messages. If you find yourself following accounts that make you feel inadequate or spark feelings of jealousy, consider unfollowing them. Remember, you have the power to choose what you allow into your mind. Your feed should be a reflection of what you want to see and what resonates with your personal growth. 2. Limit mindless scrolling. Mindless scrolling is one of the main culprits of social media addiction. It's easy to lose hours to scrolling without even realizing it, and before you know it, a whole day has passed with little to show for it. To avoid falling into this trap, set boundaries for yourself. Try limiting your social media use to certain times of the day, such as in the morning or evening, and avoid scrolling during meals or before bed. You can also set a timer to remind yourself when it's time to log off. By setting these boundaries, you reclaim your time and mental energy, leaving space for more meaningful activities. 3. Practice gratitude. Gratitude is a powerful tool for shifting your focus from what you lack to what you already have. Instead of comparing your life to others, practice gratitude for the things you have in your own life. Each day, take a moment to reflect on 3 things you're thankful for, whether it's your health, your relationships, your accomplishments, or simply the beauty of the present moment. Gratitude helps ground you in the present and reminds you that your life is full, regardless of what others are doing. 4. Engage in meaningful interactions. Rather than passively consuming content, try to engage in meaningful interactions with others on social media. This could mean leaving thoughtful comments, joining discussions, or sharing content that aligns with your values. When we engage with social media in a way that fosters connection and authentic communication, we can build relationships that enhance our lives. Instead of just scrolling through posts, try to actively participate in the conversations that matter to you. 5. Detox and unplug. It's important to take regular breaks from social media to detox and reset. Give yourself permission to disconnect from the digital world for a day, a weekend, or even longer. During this time, focus on activities that bring you joy and fulfillment in the real world. Whether it's spending time with loved ones, enjoying nature, or pursuing a hobby. Taking breaks from social media helps you regain perspective and reconnect with yourself, free from the distractions of online life. 6th, shift your focus. From external validation to internal fulfillment. Social media can make it easy to seek validation from others, but true fulfillment comes from within. Instead of focusing on how many likes or comments your posts receive, focus on what makes you feel good. What activities, relationships, or accomplishments give you a sense of purpose and joy? When you shift your focus from external validation to internal fulfillment, you'll find that you no longer rely on social media to feel good about yourself. 7. Remember that social media is not reality. One of the biggest traps of social media is believing that what we see online is a true reflection of reality. People post only the best parts of their lives, travel photos, family moments, achievements, without showing the struggles, failures, and everyday difficulties they face. Remember that social media is just a curated snapshot of someone's life, not the full picture. By keeping this in mind, you can avoid the trap of comparing your behind the scenes to someone else's highlight reel. In conclusion, social media is a powerful tool, but it's important to use it mindfully. By being intentional about what we consume, setting boundaries for our use, practicing gratitude, and shifting our focus from comparison to self-acceptance, we can reclaim our mental space and use social media in a way that enhances our lives rather than detracts from them. As Buddha teaches, the mind is everything. What you think, you become. By carefully curating the content we consume, we shape our thoughts, our beliefs, and our reality. So let's choose wisely what we allow into our minds and use social media as a tool for connection, growth, and authenticity. Lesson 7. Stop seeking external validation. Validation is a powerful force. It shapes how we perceive ourselves, how we act in the world, and even how we dream about our future. We all seek it in different forms: compliments, recognition, approval, or the applause of others. In its presence, we feel seen, appreciated, and acknowledged. It boosts our confidence, fills us with a sense of worth, and makes us feel like we belong. However, the truth is that when validation comes solely from the outside, it becomes a fragile foundation. It's like building a house on sand. No matter how beautifully constructed it may seem, it's vulnerable to the shifting tides of others' opinions. Validation from others can be fleeting, changing from day to day, from person to person. As we chase compliments and recognition, we forget the most important voice of all, our own. Buddha's wisdom speaks profoundly to this truth. You yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection. This powerful statement reminds us that our worth is not something granted by external sources. It is not dependent on others' opinions, approval, or even their recognition. Your value is inherent and already within you, waiting to be embraced. You are worthy of love, respect, and validation, simply because you exist. Your worth is not conditional. It does not fluctuate based on your achievements or the validation of others. When you begin to understand this, you free yourself from the constant pursuit of external approval and step into a deeper, more grounded sense of self. Consider a simple scenario. Imagine a child proudly displaying their artwork, eyes shining with excitement and joy. The pride they feel is genuine. It's their creation, their expression. But then someone offers criticism, and suddenly the joy fades. That momentary smile turns into doubt and insecurity. The child, who once felt proud and confident, now wonders if their work is truly good enough. In this moment, external validation has the power to strip away the internal sense of accomplishment and self-worth. Many of us carry this pattern into adulthood, allowing the opinions of others to dictate how we feel about ourselves. We become dependent on others' approval, waiting for them to confirm our value. We might seek praise from our bosses, colleagues, friends, or family, constantly hoping that their recognition will affirm our worth. However, relying on others for validation is like building a house on shifting sands. It crumbles with every change in the tide. One day you might receive praise, and the next you could face criticism, or worse, indifference. Each fluctuation shakes the fragile foundation of your self-esteem, leaving you uncertain of your true value. In today's world, the pressure to seek validation has become even more pronounced due to the rise of social media. Platforms like Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter offer an endless stream of likes, comments, shares, and views. Every post, photo, or video becomes a way to measure our worth. The number of likes or shares we receive can dictate how good we feel about ourselves in that moment. However, this external validation is fleeting. The danger lies in tying your happiness and self-worth to these superficial metrics. The validation you receive through likes and comments does not reflect your true worth. It's a temporary affirmation that can change at any moment. Social media amplifies this struggle, offering constant comparisons and benchmarks that can leave us feeling inadequate. It becomes an endless loop. You crave validation, so you seek it out. You post something online, hoping to receive likes or comments. When they come, it gives you a temporary sense of fulfillment, but it quickly fades. When the likes stop or the comments dry up, you're left emptier than before, wondering what went wrong. The cycle repeats itself, and you become increasingly reliant on external validation to fill the void. But true confidence, true self-assurance, does not come from external sources. It comes from within. True confidence comes from an internal knowing, a deep belief in your inherent worth. It begins with self-love. When you learn to love yourself, you no longer need to seek out validation from others. You begin to celebrate your achievements, no matter how small, without waiting for someone else to notice or affirm them. Self-love involves accepting yourself as you are, with all your imperfections and quirks. It's about recognizing that you are enough, just as you are. You don't need to change for others to see your worth. You are already worthy. One of the most powerful practices for cultivating self-love is through affirmations. Every day, take a moment to write down or say out loud positive statements about yourself. I am enough. I am worthy. My value is not determined by others. These affirmations are not about boosting your ego. They are about reaffirming your intrinsic value. By repeating these affirmations daily, you begin to retrain your mind to believe in your worth and to detach it from the approval of others. Meditation is another powerful tool for reconnecting with your inner self. In the hustle and bustle of life, it can be easy to forget to check in with yourself, to get caught up in the noise and distractions of the outside world. Meditation allows you to sit with your thoughts in silence, to observe them without judgment, and to recognize that your worth is not tied to your accomplishments or others' opinions. In meditation, you reconnect with your true self, beyond the labels and roles that others place on you. It helps you to quiet the mind and hear your own voice, which is the only one that truly matters when it comes to your self-worth. Shifting your focus from seeking approval to giving approval can also help you cultivate a stronger sense of self-assurance. Instead of waiting for others to affirm you, practice complimenting others sincerely. Recognize their strengths and celebrate their accomplishments. When you offer praise and encouragement to others, it not only uplifts them, but also strengthens your own sense of self. Complimenting others helps you shift your focus from insecurity to appreciation, and as you uplift others, you begin to feel better about yourself too. By practicing kindness and giving validation to those around you, you develop a sense of fulfillment that doesn't rely on external sources. As you begin to give validation to others, you'll notice that your need for external validation starts to fade. When you stop seeking approval from others, you free yourself from their expectations and opinions. You begin to live authentically, guided by your own values, passions, and beliefs, rather than the fear of judgment or the desire to meet others' standards. This shift allows you to step into your full potential, unburdened by the need to please others or conform to their expectations. It's important to remember that your value is not determined by how others see you, but by how you see yourself. Your worth is intrinsic, and it's not something that can be taken away or diminished by others' opinions. The only validation you truly need is your own. By letting go of the need for external approval, you reclaim your power. You stop relying on others to define your worth, and in doing so, you step into a deeper, unshakable sense of self-assurance, one that no one can take away. As you free yourself from the cycle of seeking validation, you open the door to a more peaceful, authentic life. You stop measuring your worth against someone else's success, and instead, you begin to celebrate your own journey. You begin to trust that your path, your growth, and your progress are enough. The opinions of others, whether positive or negative, no longer hold the same power over you. You become your own source of validation, and in doing so, you become the best version of yourself, true to who you are, without needing anyone else's permission to be so. In conclusion, validation from others is a fleeting source of affirmation that can never provide lasting fulfillment. The key to true confidence lies in recognizing your intrinsic worth and learning to validate yourself. By embracing self-love, practicing gratitude, offering validation to others, and living authentically, you free yourself from the trap of external approval. Your worth is not dependent on anyone else's opinions. It is already within you, waiting to be embraced. By letting go of the need for validation from others, you reclaim your power and cultivate a deeper, unshakable sense of self-worth that will guide you toward a more authentic, fulfilling life. Lesson 8. Release perfectionism. Perfectionism is a double-edged sword. On one hand, it promises greatness, achievement, and success. It tells you that if you just push a little harder, try a little more, and perfect every detail, you will reach the pinnacle of excellence. But on the other hand, perfectionism also chains you to a constant feeling of inadequacy, no matter how hard you work. It whispers that what you've done isn't enough, that you're always falling short, that you'll never be good enough. This pursuit of flawlessness seems noble, yet it often leads to frustration, anxiety, and an inability to celebrate the progress you've made. Buddha's wisdom offers a beautiful reminder. There is no perfection in this world, only striving for it. These words gently encourage us to let go of the impossible goal of flawlessness and instead embrace the beauty of growth, progress, and imperfection. Perfectionism can be paralyzing. It creates a gap between the ideal we envision and the reality we experience, and this gap is filled with frustration and dissatisfaction. We see the goal, perfect, polished, and complete, and we believe that anything short of that is failure. But in truth, perfectionism is often the greatest barrier to progress. It's a relentless pursuit that traps us in an endless loop of self-criticism, leaving little room for joy, creativity, or fulfillment. The key is recognizing that perfection doesn't exist in the world, but growth and evolution are abundant. Consider the example of an artist painting a masterpiece. Each brushstroke is filled with intention, each color carefully chosen. But if the artist becomes consumed by the fear of making a mistake, if they obsess over each tiny detail, there's a risk that the painting may never be completed. If every stroke is subject to endless revision, if nothing is ever quite good enough, the artist could get caught in an unending cycle of correction. Similarly, life is much the same. If we strive for perfection in every moment, in every action, and in every aspect of ourselves, we lose the joy of simply creating, learning, and evolving. Life isn't meant to be perfect. It's meant to be lived, experienced, and embraced in all its beauty and messiness. Perfectionism often stems from fear, the fear of failure, the fear of judgment, and the fear that we aren't enough as we are. This fear keeps us stuck, preventing us from taking risks, trying new things, and stepping outside our comfort zones. We become paralyzed by the need to get everything right, to meet the impossible standards we've set for ourselves. This cycle creates a constant feeling of not good enough, leaving us drained and unfulfilled, unable to celebrate our achievements because we're always focused on the flaws that remain. But the truth is, imperfections are what make us human. They are not obstacles or failures. They are opportunities for growth. Every misstep, every mistake, is an opportunity to learn, to grow, and to connect with others on a deeper level. Imperfections allow us to relate to others in ways that perfection never could. It's through our struggles and imperfections that we find the shared human experience. The cracks in our armor are the places where connection happens. To let go of perfectionism, the first step is to shift your focus from the outcome to the process. Instead of obsessing over the perfect result, learn to celebrate the effort you put in. Celebrate the journey of learning, evolving, and growing, even if the final result doesn't match the ideal you envisioned. This shift in focus allows you to experience life with more joy and less pressure. Life is not about attaining perfection. It's about the growth that occurs when you try, fail, learn, and try again. For example, if you're learning a new skill, allow yourself to stumble and make mistakes. Each misstep is a stepping stone toward mastery. Mistakes are the natural byproducts of growth, and the more you embrace them, the more you open yourself up to the possibility of improvement. Perfectionism tells you that mistakes are failures. True growth tells you that mistakes are lessons. The key is to approach these moments with curiosity, to ask yourself what you can learn from the experience, and to allow yourself to be imperfect. Self-compassion is also essential in the process of letting go of perfectionism. Speak to yourself with the same kindness and understanding you would offer a close friend. When you fall short of your expectations or make mistakes, treat yourself with patience and empathy. Remind yourself that progress matters more than perfection. You are allowed to grow at your own pace, and you are allowed to make mistakes along the way. Just as we would encourage and comfort a friend who struggles with perfectionism, we must offer ourselves the same kindness. Additionally, it's important to set realistic expectations. Perfectionism often arises from unrealistic standards, and these standards can make success feel out of reach. Instead of holding yourself to an impossible ideal, break down your goals into smaller, achievable steps. Prioritize what truly matters to you and allow yourself to grow and improve at a pace that feels authentic. You are not bound to a set timeline or standard. You are free to evolve on your own terms. Buddha's wisdom teaches us that the pursuit of perfection is endless and ultimately fruitless. Life in its fullness is about embracing the imperfections, the messiness, the unpredictability, and the growth. Perfection is an illusion, a concept that can never be fully realized, but progress, true, meaningful progress, is always within our reach. It comes from accepting ourselves as we are, from embracing our flaws, and from seeing each mistake as a step closer to the person we are meant to become. The path to self-acceptance and peace begins when we release the need for perfection. Perfectionism is a heavy burden, one that only weighs us down and prevents us from experiencing the beauty of life. When we let go of the need to be flawless, we free ourselves to live more fully, more authentically, and with more joy. We allow ourselves to create, to learn, to stumble, and to grow. There is no perfection in this world, only striving for it. And in the striving, there is immense beauty and growth. In the end, the key to breaking free from perfectionism is realizing that the journey itself is the reward. It is not about reaching an ideal destination or living a flawless life. It is about the process of learning, growing, and evolving. So, take a deep breath and release the weight of perfection. Embrace the beauty of imperfection, the freedom in mistakes, and the joy in the journey. Your worth is not defined by your perfection. It is defined by your willingness to grow and your ability to accept yourself in all your glorious imperfection. Lesson 9. Let go of unrealistic expectations. Unrealistic expectations are like fragile glass castles. They may appear beautiful, but they shatter the moment reality strikes. We build these castles in our minds, filling them with intricate designs of how we believe life, people, and events should unfold. They become our vision of perfection, a carefully constructed idea of what we deserve or what should happen to us. Yet, time and again, when life doesn't conform to these expectations, we are left with a sense of disillusionment, disappointment, and even betrayal. We feel as though something has been taken from us, as though the world has let us down. Buddha's profound teaching echoes in the face of our frustration. The root of suffering is attachment. Attachment, in this sense, refers to our attachment to how we think life should be, to our mental constructs of perfection, to our rigid desires and expectations. When we cling tightly to our vision of how things should unfold, we set ourselves up for pain. Life, by its very nature, is fluid, unpredictable, and often messy. By resisting its natural flow, by demanding that it conform to our scripts, we create unnecessary suffering for ourselves. Instead of embracing life's ebb and flow, we struggle against it, and this struggle becomes the root of our unhappiness. To illustrate this, imagine a traveler embarking on a long-awaited journey. If the traveler expects every step to be smooth, with no delays, no obstacles, and no disruptions, the moment something goes wrong, perhaps a flight is missed or a storm prevents travel, the entire experience can quickly turn into a disaster in their mind. The traveler, instead of adjusting to the unexpected, may become fixated on what went wrong. They may waste energy on frustration, feeling as though their plans have been ruined. However, if the traveler embraces the unpredictability of their journey and remains open to the possibility of delays or changes in plans, they will be able to adjust and still experience the adventure. The same applies to life. When we hold on to rigid expectations, when we demand that everything goes according to plan, we set ourselves up for inevitable disappointment. But when we approach life with flexibility and openness, even the challenges become part of the experience. Unrealistic expectations often arise from our deep desire for control. We want life to unfold a certain way because we believe that if everything goes according to plan, we will feel safe, happy, or fulfilled. We expect others to behave in specific ways that align with our needs or desires, and we expect circumstances to favor us. We want success to come effortlessly, as though the world owes us something, but the reality is that the world does not conform to our scripts. People do not always meet our expectations, and circumstances rarely unfold as we envision. When others don't behave the way we expect, or when plans go awry, we feel hurt, confused, or even betrayed. These feelings, however, are a direct result of our attachment to how things should be, rather than accepting how they are. To begin letting go of unrealistic expectations, the practice of mindfulness is invaluable. Mindfulness allows us to observe our thoughts and notice where expectations creep in. We can start to become aware of the places in our lives where we are attaching ourselves to specific outcomes or imagining life in a way that denies its natural unpredictability. Ask yourself, are you setting standards for others that you wouldn't hold yourself to? Are you demanding perfection from people or situations in a way that you do not demand it from yourself? Are you ignoring the inherent messiness of life in pursuit of an ideal? Recognizing these patterns is the first step in letting go of unrealistic expectations. This awareness helps us see where we are attached to outcomes and where we may be creating unnecessary suffering for ourselves. Mindfulness also helps us become more present in the moment, accepting life as it is, rather than how we wish it would be. It teaches us to observe our feelings and reactions without judgment, helping us respond to situations with greater clarity. Instead of reacting with frustration when things don't go our way, we can pause, observe, and then respond in a way that is in alignment with our values and intentions. Along with mindfulness, practicing acceptance is crucial in the process of releasing unrealistic expectations. Acceptance doesn't mean giving up on our goals, lowering our standards, or resigning ourselves to dissatisfaction. It means acknowledging reality as it is, without resistance. When we accept the present moment, whether it's a situation, a relationship, or a setback, without trying to force it to be different, we release the emotional burden that comes with unmet expectations. If a relationship isn't what we envisioned, we can ask ourselves, can I appreciate this relationship for what it is, rather than mourning what it's not? This shift allows us to see the value in the present moment, rather than getting stuck in the past or wishing for a different future. Similarly, if a goal takes longer than expected to achieve, instead of feeling frustrated or defeated, we can reflect on how the journey itself is shaping us. Every step we take, whether forward or backward, provides an opportunity for growth and learning. The journey, with all its twists and turns, is what shapes us, not just the end result. By shifting our focus to the process, rather than fixating on the outcome, we allow ourselves to enjoy the unfolding of our lives, regardless of how quickly or slowly things happen. Another way to begin letting go of unrealistic expectations is to shift your focus from outcomes to intentions. When we set goals or make plans, we often focus solely on the end result, the perfect job, the perfect relationship, the perfect home. We invest all of our energy into the desired outcome, often forgetting that the real value lies in our intentions and the actions we take along the way. The desire for perfection can make us lose sight of why we are pursuing something in the first place. When we focus solely on the outcome, we neglect the lessons and growth that come from the journey. Instead, try to set your goals and work toward them with a sense of purpose, but hold them lightly. Be open to the unexpected and trust that the path will unfold as it's meant to, even if it's not exactly as you imagined. When things don't go your way, instead of asking, "Why didn't things go my way?" ask yourself, "What can I learn from this experience?" Shifting the focus from blame or frustration to learning and growth opens up the possibility for transformation in every moment. Every setback is an opportunity to gain wisdom, every obstacle an invitation to develop resilience. When we view life as a series of experiences to learn from, rather than a series of outcomes to control, we free ourselves from the tyranny of unrealistic expectations. Letting go of unrealistic expectations doesn't mean settling for less or resigning ourselves to mediocrity. Rather, it means freeing ourselves to experience the fullness of life without the burden of disappointment. It means recognizing that life is not meant to follow a linear path or conform to our narrow vision of how it should be. When we release our attachment to perfection and control, we allow ourselves to be more open to the richness and depth of the present moment. We stop fighting against reality and start accepting it for what it is. And in that acceptance, we unlock a deeper contentment, a peace that is not dependent on what is or isn't. It's a peace that comes from within, rooted in the understanding that life's messiness is part of its beauty. In this space of acceptance, we find freedom. Freedom from the need for things to be perfect. Freedom from the constant frustration of unmet expectations. Freedom to live authentically, without the pressure of constantly striving for an ideal that may never materialize. The peace that comes from accepting life as it is allows us to move through the world with grace, compassion, and joy. In conclusion, unrealistic expectations are a heavy burden to carry, and they often prevent us from experiencing the fullness of life. When we can begin to let go of these expectations, whether it's in relationships, work, or our personal goals, we open ourselves up to the beauty of the present moment. We free ourselves to learn from life's challenges, to appreciate what we have, and to live more authentically. Acceptance is not resignation. It is the key to peace and freedom. By embracing life as it is, we find contentment in the process, not just in the outcome. Life is not about meeting expectations. It's about navigating it with an open heart and a willingness to grow. Lesson 10. Avoid gossiping. Gossip is a sneaky, insidious force that creeps into conversations, often disguised as harmless chatter or casual exchange. What begins as a simple comment or a shared opinion can quickly escalate into something far more toxic. Over time, gossip can poison relationships, create divisions, and foster unnecessary negativity. It might seem like a natural, even innocent, part of social interactions, but the impact it has on individuals and groups can be profound and far-reaching. The simple act of speaking ill of someone, even behind their back, can cause more damage than just tarnishing reputations. It erodes trust, creates conflict, and fuels dissatisfaction, often in ways we do not immediately recognize. Buddha, with his deep wisdom, cautioned us against the careless use of words. Do not speak unless it improves on silence. This quote offers a profound reflection on the power of speech. Words once spoken cannot be taken back. They have the power to uplift, heal, and build connections, but they also have the ability to tear down, hurt, and divide. Buddha's teaching reminds us that speech should be intentional, kind, and beneficial. Gossip, by contrast, does none of these things. It thrives on negativity, thrives on division, and thrives on stirring emotions that breed bitterness and hurt. Gossip leaves behind a trail of damaged relationships, unresolved conflict, and resentment. Imagine for a moment that you're part of a close-knit group of friends. You've spent time together, shared memories, and built trust over the years. One day, during a casual conversation, a harmless comment is made about someone who isn't present. Perhaps it's about their behavior, their appearance, or a situation that they're involved in. At first, the comment feels innocent, just an exchange of opinions. Nothing to be taken seriously. It's not meant to harm anyone, right? But as the conversation continues, those words begin to transform. What started as a fleeting thought slowly turns into a series of whispers, and over time it evolves into a judgmental discussion that colors everyone's perception of the person who isn't there. Suddenly, trust is shaken. The energy of the group changes. The dynamic is forever altered. What began as a seemingly innocent comment has now planted seeds of doubt, suspicion, and division. The once close-knit group begins to splinter, and the bond between friends weakens. Gossip might seem like an easy way to bond or vent, an outlet for frustrations, or a way to bond over shared opinions. But in reality, it has the opposite effect. It destroys the very connections it seeks to nourish, and in the long run, it contributes to a culture of negativity that ultimately harms everyone involved. The impact of gossip isn't just external, it's internal as well. When you engage in gossip, you allow negativity to cloud your own mind. The act of speaking ill of others or listening to negative conversations breeds resentment and suspicion, not just towards the subject of the gossip, but towards others in your circle and even yourself. It creates an environment where judgment replaces understanding, where assumptions are made without evidence, and where conflict is inevitable. Over time, this becomes the norm, and the space you once shared with others becomes a breeding ground for misunderstanding and discontent. Gossip also has a way of distorting our own perception of the world. We start to see things through a lens of criticism and judgment, where the actions and intentions of others are colored by negativity. Our minds become cluttered with thoughts of judgment and resentment, and it becomes increasingly difficult to trust or connect with people in a meaningful way. In this environment, peace and harmony are hard to come by, and the simple act of speaking positively or neutrally becomes increasingly rare. To avoid falling into the trap of gossip, cultivating mindfulness in your speech is essential. Mindfulness is the practice of being present and aware of our thoughts, words, and actions, and it is particularly powerful when applied to how we communicate with others. Before you speak, take a moment to ask yourself, is what I'm about to say truthful? Will it uplift or harm? This simple pause gives you the opportunity to evaluate your words and make a conscious decision about how they will affect others. If your words are likely to cause harm, it's often better to remain silent. Not every thought or opinion needs to be expressed. By choosing silence over harmful words, you create a space for deeper reflection, clarity, and growth. This doesn't mean you must suppress your thoughts or emotions, but rather that you choose to express them in ways that foster understanding and respect. Silence is sometimes more powerful than words, especially when the words are laden with judgment or negativity. The next time you find yourself on the edge of gossip, pause and ask yourself whether your words will improve the situation or cause further harm. If they won't, choose silence. When we refrain from gossip, we are consciously choosing to create a space for deeper connection, one where trust is nurtured and respect is paramount. A culture of respect, where people are treated with kindness and dignity, requires that we hold our speech to a higher standard. We must choose to speak words that inspire, uplift, and support those around us, rather than words that tear down, divide, or create suspicion. In this way, we begin to shift the energy in our social circles, creating a culture that celebrates empathy, understanding, and growth. Rather than engaging in gossip, focus on conversations that promote positive and meaningful interactions. Compliment others genuinely, share positive stories, and celebrate the successes of those around you. When you do so, you become a force of positivity within your circle. Complimenting others is not just about making them feel good. It's about creating an environment of appreciation where everyone is recognized for their strengths and contributions. It's about cultivating a space where the beauty of each person is celebrated rather than torn down through judgment. Shifting the focus from gossip to kindness is transformative, both for you and for those around you. You will begin to notice that your relationships become more harmonious and fulfilling. When people feel respected, trusted, and valued, they are more likely to respond with the same qualities. In turn, this creates a ripple effect that extends beyond your immediate circle, affecting your community and the world at large. The more you make an effort to avoid gossip, the more you contribute to a culture of kindness and trust. By refraining from speaking ill of others, by choosing to lift them up with your words, you help to foster an environment where love and understanding take precedence over division and bitterness. Your relationships will flourish and your interactions will become more meaningful because people will feel safe with you. They will know that you hold their best interests at heart and that your words will be an extension of respect, not criticism. When you make the conscious choice to speak with mindfulness, your words will begin to reflect your inner peace. Instead of perpetuating conflict and negativity, you'll cultivate an environment of calm, understanding, and mutual respect. Silence, when necessary, becomes a powerful tool for protecting harmony, while mindful speech fosters connection and growth. Your words can become a reflection of your own sense of inner peace, and in doing so, they will have the power to transform your relationships and your world. In conclusion, gossip is a destructive force that has the potential to poison relationships, erode trust, and foster negativity. It often starts innocently as casual conversation, but it can quickly spiral out of control, leaving behind a trail of hurt, mistrust, and division. Buddha's wisdom reminds us to speak only if it improves on silence, a principle that encourages us to be intentional with our words and avoid contributing to the toxicity of gossip. By cultivating mindfulness in our speech, practicing acceptance, and shifting our focus toward kindness, we can become forces of positivity in our social circles, fostering an environment of respect and trust. Let your words reflect your inner peace, and in doing so, watch how they transform your relationships and the world around you. Lesson 11. Eliminate self-doubt and inner conflict. Self-doubt is a shadow that follows us, often lurking in the corners of our minds, whispering that we are not enough, that we are not worthy, and that we are destined to fail. It questions our abilities, our worth, and even our choices. The more we listen to this voice of doubt, the dimmer our potential becomes. It can be all-consuming, making us feel smaller, less capable, and distant from the peace and fulfillment we crave. The paradox is that the more we listen to self-doubt, the further we move away from the truth of who we are, the vast potential and inner strength that resides within each of us. Yet, the path to inner peace and true fulfillment begins the moment we quiet that voice of self-doubt and choose to embrace self-compassion instead. Buddha's words, "What you think, you become," carry a deep truth. The thoughts we entertain shape our reality. If we allow self-doubt to dominate our minds, we create an internal environment of fear, insecurity, and self-limiting beliefs. This environment holds us back from pursuing our dreams, achieving our goals, and living with purpose. The impact of self-doubt. Imagine a person standing at the edge of a cliff, contemplating a leap into unknown waters. This leap represents change, transformation, and the unknown possibilities that lie ahead. The voice of doubt, however, steps in and says, "What if I fail? What if I am not good enough? What if I am not prepared?" The hesitation creeps in, and the leap never happens. The person stays stuck, held captive by their own fear and self-doubt. The potential for growth and transformation is stifled, and they remain in the same place, unable to break free from the mental chains of uncertainty. Now, imagine a different scenario. Picture the same person standing at the edge of the cliff, hearing the same doubts. But this time, instead of allowing fear to paralyze them, they silence the voice of doubt and trust in their strength and potential. They leap. They trust that even if they fall, they will learn, adapt, and grow from the experience. The leap itself represents the moment of transformation, the moment when they take action despite their doubts and fears, and in doing so, unlock new possibilities for growth and self-discovery. This is the essence of overcoming self-doubt. The act of silencing the inner critic and embracing the courage to step forward, even when the path is unclear, is where transformation happens. When we replace self-doubt with self-compassion and trust in ourselves, we begin to see opportunities where we once saw only barriers. Recognizing self-doubt as an illusion. To eliminate self-doubt, The first step is to recognize it for what it truly is: an illusion. Self-doubt often arises from past experiences, societal pressures, comparisons, or even the internalized voices of others. However, none of these external influences define who you are or what you are capable of achieving. You are not the sum of your failures, your mistakes, or your shortcomings. You are the potential within you, waiting to unfold. When doubt arises, take a step back and observe it without judgment. Ask yourself where the doubt is coming from. Is it rooted in past experiences where you felt inadequate? Is it the result of societal expectations or comparison to others? These are not your truths. The voice of doubt often tries to convince you that you are limited by these past experiences or external standards. However, you are not defined by them. You are a unique individual with untapped potential and the ability to achieve great things. Replacing self-criticism with self-compassion. One of the most powerful ways to combat self-doubt is to practice self-compassion. Often the voice of doubt is harsh, critical, and unforgiving. It tells us that we are not good enough, that we will never succeed, and that our efforts are futile. In these moments, we need to be kind to ourselves. When doubt arises, pause and ask yourself, what would I tell a friend in this situation? Most likely you would offer words of encouragement, reminding them of their strengths, their resilience, and their worth. Now take that same advice and apply it to yourself. Self-compassion is the practice of treating yourself with the same kindness, care, and understanding that you would offer to a close friend. When you are faced with self-doubt, speak to yourself with love and encouragement. Instead of telling yourself, "I can't do this," replace it with, "I am capable." Instead of saying, "I'm not good enough," say, "I am enough, just as I am." Self-compassion allows you to quiet the negative voice of self-doubt and replace it with a more supportive and nurturing inner dialogue. It gives you the courage to take action even when fear or doubt creeps in. Affirmations for building self-confidence. Another powerful tool in overcoming self-doubt is the use of affirmations. Affirmations are positive statements that help reprogram the mind, replacing negative beliefs with empowering ones. When we repeat affirmations, we begin to shift our mindset from one of fear and insecurity to one of confidence and possibility. Start each day with affirmations that reinforce your strengths, your abilities, and your worth. For example, say to yourself, "I am worthy of success. I am capable of overcoming challenges. My value is not defined by my past, but by my present potential." These simple yet powerful statements can help you combat the negative thoughts that fuel self-doubt and empower you to take action. Over time, as you consistently affirm your worth and abilities, you will notice a shift in your confidence and mindset. Your self-doubt will begin to fade, and you will start to embrace your true potential. The importance of self-belief. Self-belief is the cornerstone of overcoming self-doubt. When you believe in your abilities and trust in your inner strength, you give yourself the permission to take risks, pursue goals, and step into your power. Self-belief is not about being perfect. It is about trusting yourself enough to take action, even when you don't have all the answers or when the road ahead is unclear. It is about having faith that, no matter what happens, you will learn and grow from the experience. When you nurture your belief in yourself, you begin to approach life with a sense of possibility rather than limitation. You start to see opportunities where you once saw barriers. You become more resilient in the face of setbacks and more open to taking risks. With self-belief, you can weather the storms of self-doubt and continue moving forward on your path. The power of mindfulness and present moment awareness. Mindfulness is another tool that can help quiet the voice of self-doubt. By being present in the moment, we can observe our thoughts without becoming consumed by them. Instead of getting lost in the what-ifs and I can't narratives, mindfulness helps us step back and simply observe our thoughts as they arise. This creates space between our thoughts and our actions, allowing us to choose a more empowered response. When self-doubt arises, take a moment to breathe and center yourself. Instead of allowing the doubt to control you, pause and observe it. Ask yourself, is this thought helpful? Is this thought based in truth or fear? Often, when we observe our doubts with mindfulness, we can see that they are not grounded in reality, but in fear or past experiences. By becoming more aware of our thoughts, we can let go of the negative patterns that fuel self-doubt and replace them with more empowering beliefs. Embracing imperfection and growth. Self-doubt is often rooted in the fear of imperfection. We worry that if we fail or make mistakes, we will be judged or rejected. However, true growth comes from embracing imperfection. It is through our mistakes, our failures, and our challenges that we learn, adapt, and grow. Perfection is not the goal, growth is. To eliminate self-doubt, shift your focus from perfection to progress. Celebrate the small victories, the moments of growth, and the lessons learned along the way. When you stop expecting perfection, you give yourself the freedom to take risks, make mistakes, and learn from them. This is where true transformation happens. The journey toward inner peace. As we journey through life, we often find ourselves burdened by habits, thoughts, and beliefs that cloud our inner peace. The teachings of Buddhism remind us that true liberation and peace come not from external circumstances, but from within. Peace is a state of mind that arises when we let go of unnecessary attachments, whether they be to perfection, self-doubt, or fear. Buddha's words, "Peace comes from within. Do not seek it without," invite us to turn inward and find peace within ourselves, rather than seeking it externally. The path to inner peace begins with the quiet elimination of what no longer serves our soul. By letting go of anger, comparison, and perfectionism, we make space for the simplicity and beauty of the present moment. Self-doubt, too, is an obstacle to peace. It keeps us from seeing the truth of who we are and blocks our ability to live with purpose. By replacing self-doubt with self-compassion and self-belief, we unlock a deeper sense of inner peace and fulfillment. Living mindfully. Imagine a life where you no longer explain yourself to others, seek external validation, or chase fleeting goals. Instead, you walk a path of mindfulness and intentionality, embracing imperfection as a teacher and compassion as your guide. This is the essence of Zen, a life where clarity and serenity flow effortlessly from your choices. Transformation begins with small steps. By quieting the noise of unnecessary habits, thoughts, and self-doubt, we make room for joy, purpose, and inner harmony. The greatest gift you can give yourself is the freedom to live mindfully, to treasure the present moment, and to let go of what weighs you down. When you let go of self-doubt and embrace self-compassion, you free yourself to pursue your dreams with courage and confidence. You begin to see the limitless potential within you, and the path to peace becomes clearer and brighter. In conclusion, self-doubt is a shadow that dims our potential and clouds our inner peace. But by replacing self-doubt with self-compassion, mindfulness, and self-belief, we can transform our lives. When we stop listening to the negative voices and start trusting in our own strength, we open ourselves to new possibilities. We begin to embrace our imperfections, celebrate our growth, and live with purpose. The journey toward inner peace begins within, and with each step we take, we move closer to the freedom, joy, and fulfillment that we are truly capable of. If these reflections have resonated with you, let's continue this journey together. The path to peace and fulfillment is a lifelong process, and by sharing these teachings, we can support each other along the way. Like and share this video to spread the wisdom, and let's create a community rooted in mindfulness, self-compassion, and growth. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Share your reflections, questions, or experiences in the comments below, and let's foster a space of meaningful dialogue and shared wisdom.